Welcome back to another video, guys. Today we're taking a look at Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 on my RX 7900 XTX Ryzen 7800X 3D build at 4K. Now just today I believe AMD released a preview driver that adds optimization for Space Marine 2 and Black Myth Wukong. So what we're going to do for starters is we're going to compare the current recommended driver 24.8.1 with the preview driver just to see if there's any optimizations that are worth considering. And then we're also going to look at how the game performs at 4K Ultra native resolution. We'll check out FSR Quality, FSR Balanced, and just see how this game runs because this is an AMD sponsored title. Let's quickly go over the settings. RX 7900 XTX, I'm using my LG C1 OLED TV, 4K native. We're using FSR AA, so as a form of anti-aliasing, and all the other settings are on Ultra. So the Ultra preset maxes out everything. Well, let's take a look at the differences between the two drivers. We're going to compare the two different drivers, and for that, we're going to run the tutorial part of the game on both sides. It's really the only thing I could do because if I left a mission, you can't restart it. It just brings you back to your last checkpoint. So the only way to get, footage that matches is if I redo the tutorial. So that's why. Now what you're looking at here is 24.8.1 on the left. That's the current recommended driver by AMD. And on the right, we have the preview drivers that are supposed to add optimizations for Black Myth Wukong and Space Marine 2 on the right. Now there isn't much of a difference that I can see, except for maybe the preview driver is a couple FPS ahead. What's also interesting about this though is that I tested my 4090 earlier in the same area and it looks like the XTX is pretty much matching it in performance. Although we're probably going to do a 7900 XTX versus 4090 video later on at some point. But that's kind of interesting. But not surprising for an AMD sponsored title though. I mean, we've seen this before. It can go either way, but that is very interesting. Well, we've skipped ahead a few minutes now just to see if there's any difference later on in the benchmark. And as you guys can see, it's still the same. The preview driver is ahead by 2 FPS on the averages. And pretty much a match on the 1% lows. So if you're nervous about installing preview drivers, just hang on to the recommended drivers and wait for AMD to release their new ones. I don't think you're going to miss much. As you can see, I was actually genuinely curious myself because this is really the only way for me to find out if there's much of a difference. And yeah, I wouldn't really bother with the preview drivers. At least I don't think it's worth it. But anyway, let's not waste any more time into this and dive into the meat and potatoes and take a look at a mission and how that runs on the 7900 XTX. Let's go. Alright, here we go, guys. This is the very first mission in the game that we're taking a look at. We're at native 4K FSR AA with the Ultra graphical preset. And as you can see, we're getting some really good performance here. Again, from my own memory, it's very similar to what I was seeing on the 4090. And if you guys are curious, actually check out my video previous to this one. We looked at the 4090, same areas with the same exact settings. So that's very interesting. But again, it is also an AMD sponsored title. And another thing that I think is worth mentioning is that for an AMD sponsored title, it does actually have DLSS. So it is very nice to see that whether a game is NVIDIA or AMD sponsored, there is FSR and DLSS. There is no frame generation of either kind in this game. Not yet. I don't know if it's coming. But as you can see, the game runs really smooth. Our 1% lows are at 70. That is really good, guys. We're averaging 87 FPS and 70 FPS 1% lows. That is really good. The game feels really smooth. Don't get it twisted though, because you could be getting 80 FPS here, and then in the next area you're getting 70 or 90. So it will depend. For example, let's skip to the next area right after this one. So as you can see, now we're at 75 FPS. Whereas in that previous area, we were getting around 90 in some cases. Here we've dropped to 75, and if you've noticed, there is quite a bit of volumetric effects. Those are actually taxing on the GPU, as they usually tend to be. But there is a setting you can tweak actually for volumetrics, and that will give you more FPS. It's volumetrics, screen space reflections, and screen space ambient occlusion. Set those to medium or default, as this game calls it, and you will get more FPS. But for the sake of this video, we're going to leave everything to Ultra. And right now we're going to take a look at FSR Quality. Now, on the 4090, we were able to get a lot more FPS with DLSS Quality. Actually, we were able to get more than this. In this very same area, we were getting around 115 FPS, if I remember correctly, with DLSS set to Quality. But with FSR set to Quality, we're at 90 FPS. That is very interesting. As a matter of fact, let's check out the clip because I'm actually very curious now. Alright, so this is my 4090 recording. As you can see, same exact area, we're getting 75 FPS. And we're running DLSS Native AA at 4K. And we drop to DLSS Quality. And it takes us to 115 FPS, whereas the XTX is at 90. I've never seen that. Anyway, let's go back to the XTX. I find it kind of curious because normally what I see is, especially with Unreal Engine 5 games, where like the 4090 will be ahead by like 20 or 30%. Once you use DLSS Quality and FSR Quality, the 7900 XTX catches the gap actually quite a bit once you use FSR Quality. But here, it seems like DLSS Quality is giving us more FPS than FSR Quality. So that is kind of unusual, and it stood out to me. So that's what these videos are all about, examining performance of PC port, and just talking about it, really. That's pretty much it. But yeah, as you can see, guys, there's a lot of stuff going on. We're still doing very good, 77 FPS for 1% lows. And yeah, interestingly, we are getting very similar performance here with FSR Quality that we were getting in that previous part of the mission at 4K native. So yeah, that FPS can vary, but still, as far as 4K goes, the XTX and 4090 are beasts for this game. No problem, you can run the game natively, and it looks gorgeous, guys. If you want, let me know. Maybe I can make another video, but I did look at image quality a bit. TAA looks very good at native, but can be a bit flickery with distant objects. FSR is an improvement over that, but can also have a bit of flicker. DLSS at native resolution I found personally to be the most stable, to be the best, but it is a little bit softer than FSR and TAA, and I believe that is because they're using a higher level of sharpening with FSR and TAA. That's what it looks like to me. But this is nitpicking. I think the game looks really good. Actually, FSR Quality right now I think looks great. I mean, at a glance to me it looks like DLSS Quality or even native. I don't see any flicker. There's a lot of foliage too. In the past, FSR tends to kind of fall apart with foliage. Well, not here. FSR Quality looks great, and we're also going to take a look at DLSS Balanced and see how that looks. But as far as FSR Quality, it looks awesome. No problems here. No problems here, because flicker is something I find annoying, and I don't really see any here. Volumetrics look good. Everything looks good. But yeah, that's FSR Quality, guys. Let's take a look at FSR Balance, and then we'll wrap up the video. I think we get the idea. Alright, so we appear to be at 85 FPS with FSR Quality. Let's go ahead and turn on FSR Balance and see if we can bump that up even higher. Now, I don't know if we're going to hit any CPU limitations. We actually did hit some CPU limitations with a 4090 with DLSS Balance. Actually, even Quality in some cases. Looked like the 7800 XCD is good for around 120 FPS or so. And we seem to be hitting that here. But again, it's very hard to judge just because it can fluctuate so much. Like as soon as we got those volumetric effects, it dropped down to the 90s, right? But yeah, I mean, look at, we're above 100, so this is great. And since I play it on LG C1 OLED TV, 120 Hertz, this is perfect for me. No problem. As a matter of fact, I'd probably end up capping the FPS to 120, personally. But yeah, FSR Balance. I mean, I don't know. To me, it actually looks really good, guys. You probably won't be able to see the exact quality, image quality on YouTube, because that's what YouTube does. It compresses the video. But I'm pretty close to my C1 OLED TV. It's 48 inches, and I'm like on a desktop distance sitting away, right? So I'm very close. And to me, it looks great. I still don't really notice any flicker. So yeah, good job. And this is FSR 2 as well. As far as DLSS, I'm not sure if it's the latest version they're using. but that works really good as well from what I tested. And yeah, pretty decent performance gain. Not as high as DLSS for some reason, but still, a gain is a gain, and it looks pretty good. Now, I don't know about any other maps. I still have a bit more testing to do, and I might have to start the game again. So, unfortunately, this is all I can do for now, but I think we get the idea. 7900 XTX, very, very capable 4K GPU for this game. The game is quite demanding, especially on the CPU as well. And you guys let me know in the comments, but I'm thinking of doing a CPU focused video maybe. We'll compare Ryzen 3700X with my 5900X and the 7800X 3D, because I'm curious to see how those slightly older CPUs hold up in this game, because this is going to be a popular game. It's a good game. You should definitely play it if you like action games. I'm not a Warhammer fan, really. I appreciate the art, but I'm not into the lore or anything, and this is great. I love it. But yeah, I think that's going to be it for this video, guys. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. If you have any suggestions or any critiques or anything like that you want to add on to the conversations, that's perfectly fine. That's kind of why I make these videos, is to engage in conversations and share my enthusiasm. Give the video a like if you liked it. Leave a comment, like I said, and consider subscribing if you want to. But either way, I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.